What happens when the body loses direction before the mind can even explain it? Not just pain, not just stiffness, not just stress, but tingling in the legs, numbness in the thighs, shooting nerve pain, weak coordination, spasmodic contractions, and at the same time a strange inner instability, fear about the future, loss of long-term vision, restlessness about purpose, and a sense that your internal compass is no longer steady. This is where the ninth house becomes incredibly important, because most students are taught to see the ninth house only as belief, wisdom, teachers, blessings, and destiny. But in body mapping, the ninth house also governs the hips, thighs, tailbone area, sacral region, sciatic nerves, and pituitary-linked hormonal functions. So when Vata rises here, the disturbance is not merely symbolic, it becomes highly embodied. The lower axis of movement becomes erratic, and the psyche begins to mirror that instability. Now this is the key teaching point. Vata is dry, light, cold, irregular, and mobile. So when Vata invades the ninth house field, it does not always announce itself first through degeneration. Sometimes it announces itself through instability of signaling. That is what this slide is really showing. The neurological expression here is extremely specific: tingling in the legs, numbness in the thighs, shooting nerve pain, weak leg coordination, and spasmodic muscular contractions. This is not just discomfort. This is a disturbance in transmission, a disturbance in continuity, a disturbance in how the body sends and carries movement through the lower axis. And this is where healers and astrology students need to sharpen their eyes. Because when the sacral region and sciatic pathway come under Vata aggravation, you are dealing with a body that is struggling not just with support, but with reliable communication. The message from nerve to muscle becomes irregular. The signal from intention to movement becomes less smooth. The body may still move, but the movement becomes hesitant, erratic, sharp, interrupted, or weakly coordinated. That is pure Vata logic. Now let us look at the planetary cluster shown here: Moon, Saturn, Venus, and Ketu. This combination is powerful because it does not produce one single type of disturbance. It produces a layered disturbance. Let us begin with Mercury by implication of the nerve field, but among the actual visible planets, let us begin directly with Saturn, because Saturn is the most obvious Vata amplifier in the chart. Saturn governs nerve tissue, chronic complaints, coldness, restriction, suppression, and long duration dysfunction. It also has a clear link with the thighs and lower body structural endurance. So Saturn in a field like this does not merely say there is pain. Saturn says the system is becoming less fluid, less responsive, less resilient, and more difficult to recover. When Saturn influences the ninth house body zone, I expect stiff nerve transmission, chronic irritation, heaviness mixed with depletion, weakened coordination, and symptoms that repeat over time until the person feels that movement itself has become laborious. Now add Ketu, and the entire picture becomes more subtle and more difficult. Ketu often works through reduction, disconnection, deficiency, fragmentation, and strange or hard to localize disturbance. So if Saturn makes the condition chronic, Ketu makes it elusive. Ketu can create numbness, disconnection from body feedback, odd neurological sensations, diminished coherence, and states where the person feels that the body is not fully integrating sensation and action properly. This is why Ketu is so important in neurological readings, because Ketu does not always scream. Ketu often erases, it reduces, it disconnects. It makes a person say, I do not know how to describe it, but something is not functioning normally. That is very different from a purely inflammatory pattern. This is why Vata-Ketu conditions often feel subtle, strange, inconsistent, or hard to fully stabilize. Then we come to Moon. Moon governs mind, emotions, fluids, reactivity, and the way discomfort is experienced subjectively. In a Vata aggravated field, moon does not merely describe emotion. Moon describes the emotional amplification of instability. The person may become more sensitive to uncertainty, more unsettled by fluctuating symptoms, more mentally fatigued by poor sleep, and more existentially anxious because the body itself no longer feels grounded. And this connects directly with the emotional expressions named in the slide. Existential anxiety, loss of long-term vision, fear about future direction, sudden changes in belief, instability in moral anchor, and restlessness about purpose. This is where the ninth house becomes profound, because the ninth house is not just legs and nerves. It is also faith, direction, worldview, future meaning, and internal guidance. So when Vata rises here, what happens? The body loses grounding, and the psyche mirrors that loss of grounding. That one sentence contains the whole teaching. The person may feel not only neurologically unstable, but existentially unstable. Not only restless in the legs, but restless in purpose. Not only unable to sit comfortably, but unable to rest inwardly inside their own direction. That is not vague poetry. That is exact ninth house Vata logic. Now bring in Venus. Venus adds another critical layer because Venus governs comfort, lubrication, softness, bodily ease, pelvic support, and the ability to feel soothed within the body. In a Vata heavy field, Venus often shows where the system is losing grace. So Venus here tells me that this is not only a nerve problem, it is also a comfort problem. The body does not know how to settle. The tissues do not feel buffered. Movement may happen, but it does not feel pleasant or natural. The person may feel physically and emotionally unsupported in a very deep way. So now step back and see the whole field clearly. Saturn brings chronicity, restriction, coldness, and long-term Vata burden. Ketu brings disconnection, numbness, fragmentation, and depletion. Moon brings emotional sensitivity, inner instability, and reactive suffering. Venus brings the loss of comfort, lubrication, and bodily ease. And in the ninth house, that can manifest as a very precise cluster. Neurologically, the person may experience shooting nerve pain, tingling, numbness, weak lower body coordination, spasmodic contractions, and erratic lower axis movement. Emotionally and psychologically, they may experience existential anxiety, lack of confidence in the future, sudden instability in beliefs, and restlessness around purpose and long-term direction. Now, here is the deeper teaching I want you to take away. The ninth house rules that which helps you move through life with faith. So, when Vata disturbs the ninth house, the disturbance often appears in two mirrors at once. One mirror is the body, the other mirror is meaning. The body says my lower axis is unstable. The psyche says my future axis is unstable. The legs lose smoothness. Belief loses steadiness. Coordination weakens. Vision weakens, nerve flow becomes erratic, inner direction becomes erratic. That is why a lazy reading will miss the entire intelligence of this placement. Do not stop at, there may be sciatica. Go deeper. Ask, what is becoming neurologically irregular? What is becoming emotionally ungrounded? What is becoming difficult to trust? What is breaking continuity in movement and in meaning? What is causing the person to lose not only physical steadiness, but existential steadiness? That is real reading. And for healers, this is a crucial distinction because some conditions are painful, some are weakening, and some are disorienting. This one can be all three. Which means your interpretation needs sensitivity, rigor, and structure. You are not just looking at a symptom list. You are looking at a pattern of disrupted grounding expressed through nerves, movement, and higher direction. That is why the ninth house Vata pattern must be read as both somatic and archetypal. The body is not just saying, I hurt. The body is also saying, I cannot find stable forward motion. That is the real signature here. If this kind of deep Jyotish Ayurveda analysis helps you read charts more accurately, subscribe and stay with this series, because this is exactly the level of reasoning healers and astrology students need to cultivate. And if you want a personal reading for your own chart, whether for health patterns, soul path, relationship dynamics, or life direction, you can book a consultation through astrovagmi.com. I will see you in the next one.